And good morning to you.
It's LT time,
LT time, baby.
LT.
Lanny time, right here,
LT.
all day long.
God,
and it's National Orange Day. And here's one of the jeans I gave my son. I'll just kind of keep them hidden. That's what he told me. That was the biggest thing I gave him, was that one jean there. Just saying. I want to get you started early.
God,
I like to keep you thinking. You come on the air with me, anything can happen. I'll just go ahead and tell you. It's just, there's Katie bar the door.
before
Anything
and
can happen.
after.
Anything
Before,
can,
during, and after.
That's correct. Don't pull no punches. I am here all day. Okay. All right, let's see. Where are we? Since we were so rudely interrupted by having to come on the air and talk about real stuff, that kind of thing. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to start. You're kind of in a jovial mood, so I'll go ahead and start where I can get you kind of. I'll get your blood pressure going and get you pissed here early.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. You may have seen it. Juju and I talked about it Monday night. North Carolina High School Athletic Association
Yep.
is considering what to do with NIL.
Yep.
Now, and here, let me go ahead and say this because I've seen people mad about it and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go ahead and say there are certain things. One of the things that I tell my children all the time is do not stress over things you can't control. That's a waste of time and energy. There are certain things that are going to happen. It doesn't mean you approve of them. It doesn't mean that you like them. But there's no use to just get yourself in a tizzy over it because it's not going to change. Now, I'm not any happier about NIL. I didn't like it on the college level.
Right.
I'm not going to like it on the high school level. I think there's 27 states that already do it, that already allow it.
Right.
And I can go through the things like I did the other day about what you can and can't do, those kind of things. But it's kind of like transfers for. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
Unless everybody's playing by the same rules, you're going to have people, just like with the transfer portal, you're going to lose kids. You're going to have kids that go to – the only neighboring state that has NIL right now is Tennessee. Virginia, South Carolina do not have it, but Tennessee does.
Yeah, they don't have it yet, but they will.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it, it doesn't mean that you agree with it, but it means you're not going to be playing fair.
Right.
And, Milton, you're exactly right. NIL, you can't unring the bell. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Huh?
Toothpaste.
That's right. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So it's here.
Right.
And at least I'll say this, the National Federation of High Schools, NFHS, came up with guidelines way back because they knew it was coming. Yeah. They weren't like the NCAA. Right. NCAA just kept saying, hey, if we just pretend like it's not there, it's just going to go away. So the High School Association went ahead, got ahead of it and said, okay, when this gets here, here's going to be the rules that you play by. Now the NCAA is trying to catch up, and they can't. Everybody's grandfathered in. Yeah. So if the state elects to do it, they can further restrict, just like with state law, they can further restrict, but they can't open it up any wider than what the NFHS is. Yeah. So my thoughts are it's coming. It's just like NIL in college. It's not going to affect the masses, and especially on the high school level.
No. But we're talking like very, very small.
And then what's going to happen is you're going to really get into this situation of the recruiting and the NIL money and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So the only way that I see that being inside the state that you can kind of control it is you're going to have to come up with some type of a policy to keep kids from jumping around. If you don't, then you're, just like with transfers.
Well, I mean, you try to come up with that, and then there'll be ways to manipulate that and go around. The only way to effectively manage that type of potential chaotic behavior, and I'm not saying it's wrong behavior because people are going where they have the best opportunity to trying to, is to have a zero tolerance policy. And it doesn't matter why. The problem is we can always find reasons why it matters and why this is an exception, okay? And that's why things are kind of skewed and people get frustrated. When expectation is not set, or not met, I'm talking about if it's not set, then chaos will ensue and hard feelings and the like. And, I think the real issue that will come to light and there's several really big issues. And when I say the real issue, I mean a very important issue. Maybe not. People say the real question is, I think, it tries to diminish what you're asking, but I think an important issue that will come up is how do I say this? How do we effectively manage this in a service model, which is what we're here to do, to serve the public, especially when it comes to public funding, public education, taxpayer money, right? Instead of the other way around and the public serving you, right? I don't know how that's going to work when you involve the potential tunnel and lines for, let's say, a school like well, it doesn't really matter, LSU. I'm just picking one. It doesn't matter. And they see a kid that they really like in the 9th or 10th grade, and they help funnel NIL deals to go and get an early commitment. So
but the only thing about that's not worth anything, and you know that.
What's that?
That early commitment, because they can't sign till National Signing Day.
But when you
just like colleges can't offer.
Lanny, I know, and I agree with that.
The high school kids will be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, but the problem is when money exchanges hands, all right, then there is an expectation that comes with that. And, it's very difficult, when somebody gives you a couple of bucks and you don't give it back to them, it's really not a big deal. $200 becomes a bigger deal. $2,000, $20,000, $200,000. Now there's a problem, okay? And, there's going to be some things to work out with that as well. And you know what I mean about this. So
the other thing that bothers me
I don't like
about
getting
this,
kids involved in adult decision making,
especially at this level.
And when it comes to that, and what I mean by that is I'm talking about from a financial standpoint. I'm not talking about for the benefit of the kid. I'm talking about for the benefit of the recipient of the kid.
But here's the thing. This is the thing that bothers me the most about it. And it is there is enough peer pressure and envy at that age group, okay?
Yeah.
How will teammates accept it if a kid's getting $10,000 to come and play in NIL money to come and play? I think because of the maturity level of the athletes at that level, I think the maturity level is going to be really, really bad for the locker room and the chemistry of the team.
Well, it depends on if they invest back in their teammates or not, okay? So
spread the love around like a Tom Brady takes the lineman out.
What's in it for me type thing, is always there. And I don't think this is going to be a big issue. But when a very high profile player, I'm not talking about a 3 or 4 star. I'm talking about a 5-star legitimate, fish out of the big fish, small pond. I'm talking this is a big fish that's going to rule this huge lake. Okay, and it's very obvious. Okay. I think then there's going to be some issues with that. But this seems more about nothing to me because there's not that many people that this is going to affect in any way other than emotionally like you're talking about.
Let me ask you this. Does this become the way or the path, I guess is the best way to put it. We've talked about high school level athletics is really – participation is starting to really fall off because of opportunities, because of coaching support, because of school support. We've talked about, you've seen it in all the sports except football because of the expense of it.
Yes.
If NIL money comes into it now, NIL money, if I understand it right, NIL money could come from a Under Armour, a Nike, an Adidas, and then you'll start to see all-star teams put out there.
Well, that's what it's coming to.
And then because then that money won't be coming to a local public school. Those kids will remove themselves and go.
There's minimal players, all right, that are recruited through their high school baseball, softball, soccer, basketball anymore. Now, that doesn't make high school sports illegitimate or irrelevant. That's not what I'm saying. But to your point, things are funneled, and football is coming.
Yeah,
we're seeing
it's the only one that's not out there now.
13U, 14U, 16U. Then you start getting to like IMG Academy, which just recently got sold. But that's
Combine.
That's what that is, right? Combine offers, kids, and if they get the coach that they interviewed, it's going to get even better over there at Combine for baseball. I know the guy, I can't, get on, but if he does take that job, then and with training facilities close by, things like that, opportunities, there could be some really, really. Now I haven't heard whether he's taken or not or whether he got it, but anyway, the point is specialization will always find its way, in a marketplace environment. And then people will flock to someone that does a really good job, right? I have a specific place in town that when I need something, like I need oil changed or anything, there's 3 or 4 places. There's a specific place in town that I go.
Me too.
Because I feel like they, they're really good. And I've known them a long time and have a good relationship. It's the same thing with anything, right? And this is no different. And there's just some major issues. I'm very concerned, and I'm worried about high school sports over, in 10 years out. I'm very concerned about what's really offered if it's going to be privatized to some point, because things are just so skewed and so inconsistent. One county, Laney, does things different than another. You have a set of rules
and
by the
counties
state.
that are inside the same conference.
That's what I'm saying.
You've got units inside of a unit, but those units don't play on the same rules, basically.
And so therefore it's not apples and apples anymore. It's, well, I can transfer to this school because it gives me the best opportunity, or even though the opportunity may be at this school, I'm not allowed to transfer because I'll have to sit out unless I claim these things over here, da-da-da-da-da. And, it just, there's too much, either yes, it's all good, or no, it's not, or you can do it once or whatever. I mean, it's amazing to me that in a world where we're trying to teach children about opportunity, we're more concerned about what they're going to do on an English score or a math score instead of relationship developing through opportunities and things that they're interested in. I'm not minimizing academics. That's not what I mean. But the focus.
But that all happened when you started teaching for a test, and not for knowledge.
And it's. I'm just very. We have a lot of really good people that work in our public school system on a local level, on a state level.
That
whatever.
Share our frustration.
Right. That work and do their job every day, and they try to help, and they think they're doing the best they can do for their job, and they believe that, and I believe that. The problem is there's too much, don't pay attention behind, to the man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz type thing. And it's just gotten to a point where it's athletics. Laney, it used to be the sole community organization event, right?
That's correct.
And today there's many communities where it still is, but there's many more that it's not. And it's irrelevant because of basically the importance that's put on it.
They watered it down.
Yeah.
Let me take a break. We come back. I got a question. I had to make some notes because I'm old and I'll forget. So I had to write down because I got a question I want to kind of throw out there to see if it would make a difference. And, by the way, he's dressed very nicely today. His colors match. And I don't know about you guys, but I think he really looks slimmer today. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. Talking about NIL deals and how they are affecting different levels of athletics. And it's going to come in, and it's probably going to get passed. I mean, let's just be honest and be real about it in North Carolina.
That's fine.
My question, and I'm going to go back to something we've talked about before, but I don't know how this works. And if Lindsay's listening, she can tell me because she works in it. She works for DPI. And you know something about this as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know the pecking order and control order when it comes to the state hands down A, and then the local, the LEA, mm-hmm. they have to do at least that, but they can do more from a restriction standpoint. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now, here's my question. I made these notes because I wanted to frame it right. So right now, schools and the NCHSAA is under control by the legislature.
Correct.
So we're back into politics here. Yeah. So my question is, how would schools participate in athletics if it did not have the association? Could it? How would it?
Yeah.
Because where I'm going with this is, especially when you do the NIL and you look at the transfer situation, could the athletic association or some type of legislation or something, could it come down with some type of a model that says you can't transfer, you can't this? Would local associations have to abide by that if that's what the association said? You know, now what happens is the association says A, but the local school district can overrule that.
Correct.
Could the association say, if you overrule it, you go find your own place to play?
Yeah.
Because right now, the problem that I see with this, especially with this piece with money coming along, there's, like we've talked about on the college level, the reason the NCAA fails is they don't have any teeth. They don't have any control. They don't have any say-so. They're just this group that supplies these rules, much like the state association does. It needs to have teeth. There needs to be an association that everybody that's going to play under this got to abide by the same rules, and they don't.
Well, okay.
Each conference, each president, they all do their own thing.
Perfect
It's the same
example.
thing. Okay.
About a year ago, all right, and I'm just going to give a broad context to this. There was an email sent by the High School Athletic Association to one of our local, LEAs, and it said, based on the criteria that we see, the evidence that's been presented, things like this student that transferred from school A to school B is eligible under our guidelines, and all that. Email goes back out to High School Athletic Association president from a local LEA that is at the top of the chain. It says, please do not send any more emails. We control basically what we do on a local level. Do not contact or send us any more emails based on your ruling.
Okay, then they shouldn't be part of the association.
Well,
if
no,
you're not going to abide by
and that's
it.
a very broad, non-specific,
right.
Exactly what was said, but that's in context to what was said. Now, I'm not saying either party's right or wrong. I'm saying that was the exchange.
I'm not either.
To your point.
But
okay, now I want to be very clear about that.
Yeah, but
very clear.
But what I'm saying is you, unless you just want your conference to be the schools inside of your LEA, and that's the only people you play, you're not playing on, as Milton said, the unlevel playing field needs a good level.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying.
And that's right.
Now, can the so let me
right now there's nothing can be done. Everything.
Let me reverse the logic here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, if the association said, this is our transfer rule, could the school come back and make it looser?
No.
So, if the High School Athletic Association said, as far as every member in our association, there are no transfers without a 1-year sit-out.
Yes.
The LEA would have to abide by that. They wouldn't.
Nope.
Okay, so they could loosen that rule.
I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying?
Sorry. I misunderstood what you're saying. Yeah, because they can, like they do now, they claim extenuating circumstances, right? So, like, for example, my niece and nephew transferred from Maiden to Bandy's. My nephew was going into his senior year, his junior year, and he wanted to do welding and wanted to go ahead and take a couple ag classes out there and do things that they have.
Because it wasn't available where he was in the district he was.
So my niece was a basketball, volleyball, softball player. She obviously, they ride to school together. That's how she was not driving. So the mother and father said, hey, we'd like to go ahead and fill this transfer out. They said, sure, you can come out there. Said, okay, great, but she's going to have to sit out a year playing sports, and so will he if he plays baseball, which he'd played years before, but he didn't play, the last year or two. No, but, whatever, right? But they made her sit out a year because of a family situation. It had nothing to do with leaving Maiden and going to Bandy's to play a sport. It was a family situation. However, there have been transfers the last couple of years from kids that come from other schools into a local area here that claimed, oh, this, oh, that, and didn't move, okay? And they were allowed to play immediately.
Do you like the
So, the thing about it is, well, everybody, we have a set of rules, and that's what we go by. But then, on the other hand, I was told, well, but everybody's situation's unique. I was like, exactly.
Then you don't have rules.
And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
and that's where the frustration comes in, because basically it's just one person, or a group of people, just saying, hey, we'll consider this, but we won't consider that. It becomes up to, and who made them the expert on judgment?
I went through that.
I don't understand.
I went through that on an educational environment with my children.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And wanted to make a change.
Right.
And everybody else was making a change, but I couldn't.
Yeah, you couldn't.
And they had, so.
Well, I think we give too much control and just accept, well, they're going to run it, they're going to do this, when that is not the way this thing's set up. You are in control of your child and your child's education, bottom line. they can talk about government this and oh, you can do this. They only have the power that you give them, right? And there may be certain set of rules and criteria. Now, if you don't like those rules and criteria, then you find another place to go or you accept it. But you just don't give it.
So, all right, let's go back to this.
You can't do that.
Let's go back to this.
And expect any success.
So the High School Athletic Association is now part and controlled by the legislature.
Yeah, they have major oversight. Yes,
okay.
100%.
So could there be legislation passed that the LEA would have to abide by to continue getting state funding?
There could be, but it's I don't see that happening. I mean, if that were the case, if they were concerned about that, we wouldn't have 3 school districts in Catawba County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying
I agree.
To what you're saying, to funnel things down to get it to where
Idle
it needs to be.
Morrisville graded school
I would
district.
prefer every school have their own school board, their own whatever. I think it needs to be decentralized. The whole idea of centralization was to provide more resources and support for the schools, but it looks like to me that a majority of what's going on is supporting
the central.
Yeah, you see the central location.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
And that's not, and I'm certainly not accusing anyone of doing anything bad or wrong. What I'm saying is I think the concept was really good, about we can combine resources, we can get things out and do this. When in turn, once things get centralized, then everything around it starts serving it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the king and queen put a castle in a certain area, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of, the queen's over here, this kid's over, one of the children's,
if you go back, and I've used this example before, when I went through school. Okay, now this was 100 years ago, but when I went through school, we had a superintendent.
Yep.
And a secretary.
Yeah.
A guy that ran the maintenance.
Yep.
And a guy that ran the school bus garage.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We had 3 high schools. Okay. We had numerous elementary schools.
Yep.
And when I'd have to go back and look at numbers, but from the size of what central office staff is now,
yes,
versus in relationship to the number of students that were served at that point, and now I would think that ratio's gotten a lot wider.
It is, but it's justified unfunded mandates that come down from a bureaucracy, right? Well, you got to have a person that's in charge of, building over here to make sure that codes are met, handicap accessible. All of these very important things are in place. So you have to hire a person for that. And then you've got to hire based on unfunded mandates that are pulled down. So, I don't blame, and I know you're not either, I'm talking about the growth, so I don't blame local for trying to get more people in to serve those roles. The problem is that what purpose are the roles really there? And are they truly serving, our schools in our communities, or is it the other way around?
Well, a lot of times there's a lot of positions that are put in place, not fault of the local association, but they're positions that are put in place because of mandates that come down.
And that's what I mean. Most of them are unfunded, so you have to fund them locally. And that does affect high school sports because it gets more people, involved, and there's a lot of emotion, especially if you have children in the system, right? Like it was more emotional for you when you had your children playing than it is when you go watch now, where you hang out with me on, would hang out with me on the sidelines, and you could be a little bit more, not you, I'm talking third person, you could be a little bit more objective and see things. I never, there was a very few occasions where I ever got a chance to be a parent, when Quinn was playing, because I had to stay whatever. Now, there were a couple times that, if he had some success, I celebrated it because I never got a chance to do that because I'm serving, our team.
But that didn't mean that you didn't celebrate it with other kids.
But I did the same thing with the other kids,
That's right.
Like Dogpiling Jack and, all these funny things, Chris. And,
right.
I mean, I had a great time with all our kids, but, it would be very easy for someone to point out and say, well, he's just happy for his kid.
Yeah.
There were 2 times that I celebrated things that Quinn did because where he started. I'm
pretty sure it's okay to be happy about your kid.
But where he started years ago, being told basically he didn't, that, I'm worried about this, and you can't, when he was in, middle school, I can't, look, kids develop in their time.
Yep.
So, the progress that he made, the work he put in, it was nice to see that success. But also I could say the same thing about Jack. I could say the same thing about DJ, Jacob, Chris and Ben. West that came, in this year. I can say all, Jabian. I can say these things about G-Baby. I can say all these things about these kids. You know, Corbin, the Fords, you know, Bryson and Carson. I mean, I've been with these kids, except the few that came in. I've been with them since they were like 5.
Yeah.
You know, Braden Fry. I've known Braden since basically the day he walked in at Maiden Elementary.
Yep.
And that's important to me. And, you know, it's just one of those things that it's very emotional, so you got to really try to keep things in check as much as you can to see the big picture.
Here's the thing.
You try your best.
You don't short a different kid to celebrate yours, and that makes it okay.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and that's why it's okay.
No.
It's okay because you're not singling out, or it's not that you're not sharing the same type of excitement for other kids as well. Danny, that's a great question, and that's been a problem, and that's why I don't agree with Charlotte Catholic being in the association. I'll go ahead and tell you. Danny said, with regard to transfers, how does the Charlotte Catholic fit in with various transfers? Yeah. I'm going to go one step further than that, Dan. You do not go to Charlotte Catholic for free. It costs you, okay? There are kids on scholarship at Charlotte Catholic because they can play sports. Now, I'm sure there might be some kids on scholarship because of grades at Charlotte Catholic.
Oh, there's no doubt.
But
yes, absolutely.
They will not let the money stand in the way
of you
coming to play.
It's very well funded.
Now, the other side of that, and this is the part that I don't like, they do the same thing at Charlotte Christian, Charlotte Latin, Charlotte Country Day, Providence Day, but those are private schools that do not try to play in the same league as public schools like us.
So
Charlotte Catholic has always got that quote-unquote exemption to be part of.
But I think part of the argument, from what I understand, not argument, but the explanation, is that they have a certain district and they don't draw out of that district. And that's what allows them to do that. Now,
can I tell you a secret?
I'm saying that's the explanation. I'm not saying that's.
I'm just going to tell you a secret. I ain't even sure you got to be Catholic to go to Charlotte Catholic or inside their district.
You know, I never thought about that.
I'm just telling you. I don't think that's a requirement. You know, and I get it. I just don't think that Charlotte Catholic should be allowed. The problem is because they're so big.
Yeah, they are now.
They would have such a huge advantage over the other private schools. However, the other private schools play them pretty flipping close because we did private school broadcasts when I was at Charlotte and ESPN.
Yeah, it is good football.
It is good football. But I've never liked that. I've never liked that because I've always said, and I've argued with people that had kids there, they do recruit. You're not going to tell me they don't recruit. There are kids there that should have went to this public high school that are somebody's having to pay to get there, and I don't like it. And transfers, you know, they can the same. Let me go ahead and get this out here while I'm talking. Not saying right or wrong. Same thing with charter schools. Charter schools can pull from a wider area, okay, and you know. Danny said, so on the news today, it was mentioned that it's being considered that high school athletes, we were just talking about that earlier, NIL, we were talking about, you're not going to be able to stop it. You're going to have to stop it. Since you missed the front of it, Danny, the National Federation of High Schools came out in front of this early.
Yeah, years ago,
And they established guidelines where the NCAA missed the boat on that. But they established guidelines. Yeah. And you're going to have to allow it, but I don't think it's going to affect that many kids. What's going to happen is you're going to have more, what I think, athletic factories like an Oak Hill, like a Combine, like Gaston Day, like some of these schools that are going to get underwritten by an Under Armour, by a Nike, by an Adidas.
That's where it's coming.
And then that's how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Hello from Jacksonville. We're talking about Jacksonville, North Carolina, right, sis?
Yeah, she's done,
Yeah, she said she'd be rocking in the PNC Arena tonight.
Awesome.
We're going to try to go down there and I just couldn't. I got too much going on. Just couldn't make it happen. But anyway, to answer your question, I think it's going to happen, Danny. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. But again, it goes back to what I was saying with the transfers, with the eligibility, with all that kind of stuff. It is foresaid, it's going to come down to what does the LEA allow. You're exactly right, and that needs to change. She said he works a lot to be retired. Yes, he does. He's not happy about it. If the LEA is still allowed to say, okay, we understand what you're saying, but we're going to do what we want to do,
absolutely.
Then the rules go out the window, like with the NCAA.
Yeah, sure.
Same thing. Danny said before the association tackled that, I think they would structure better pays for these coaches that work countless hours for low pay. Right. Association, there again, has nothing to do with it. It's controlled by the LEA.
Yeah, and
look at South Carolina. You make money, go to South Carolina. They actually pay coaches.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, and Danny, I can speak from personal experience on this.
I made more money mowing grass when I was a high school head coach than I did
basically
coaching.
3.5 cents an hour for coaching baseball. Okay, all right. I made $800 and brought home about $420. Put about 10 in my old money in, 10 grand from inheritance I got to try to, make things better. That's fine. That's years ago. That's gone. But Danny is right, and it was really different. And it's just different in each area. You make decent wage coaching in Charlotte compared to other places in North Carolina that doesn't stack up to South Carolina at all.
You get dangerous hazard pay in Charlotte.
Yeah. So,
morning, Brian.
This is a rabbit hole that I'm happy to go down any day.
But you know what for? Here's what's going to fix it.
But go ahead.
Here's what's going to fix it. When they pull it out of the local schools.
That's what I'm saying.
Coaches will get paid because the money will be there
to pay them. There'll be a lot of new faces coaching teams when that happens.
Yes.
Because, well, there's several issues that are at hand. Okay, number one, when it comes to non-salaried positions, okay, coaching is you get a stipend, but not a salary, right? If it were a salaried position, then the funnel of candidates that would be available to coach would do two things. It would increase, and it would be of extremely high quality.
Yep.
Like only serious people would even be considered.
That's why you see what you see in South Carolina.
Well, and that's my point. So until things change in that perception, right now it's almost like it's in many places, and not all, but it's almost got the recreation feel to it.
Yes.
And that is not what serious people.
But it wasn't that way 30 years ago.
No, it wasn't, because there weren't other opportunities. The market will move itself and dictate to what a specific group of people are looking for. There's nothing wrong with that. It happened with Coke Zero. It happened with the new Coke, right? Pepsi won. Pepsi.
They still do.
Diet Mountain Dew.
There you go.
But the point is things will navigate when opportunities are not available to help excel certain interest. A lot of times there's demonization for many put on, well, that kid's just a jock or just an athlete. Well, why is that not important? It's important to that person.
Why is that a bad thing?
Why is this person criticized? Why do they care? Right? And, why does it matter in their life what that person wants to do? And I think a lot of times there's an entitlement of ownership of other people that causes some of the decisions that are made. Well, I'm in charge of this, and this is what's right, and this is what that it may be what the narrative is, but that doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
There's some things that can be done, but there has to be an investment made into that, and I don't know if at this time as an area here we're ready for that.
Not just from the coaching ranks, but from the officiating rank. Your officiating would get better if it were higher paid as well and better trained and taken more seriously. Let me give you two comments, and I got to take a break. Lindsay said that you'll have to pry local control from their cold dead hands when it comes to education.
That's correct.
And she also said, "Are you double fisting the due this morning, Stone Cold?" He's not, but he is
I'm getting ready to go get another one.
He is due for another due. Back in a moment.
it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange.
All right. We're going to go a little bit lighter now. We've been in heavy conversation here this morning, so we're going to go just a little bit lighter. We're going to switch topics just a minute. And I will say this. I know there's a lot of people that will say, good morning, Audra.
Oh, yeah.
Milton said it's sad teachers and coaches need side jobs to supplement their income because they are underpaid. Let me say this. A lot of people will say, you know, if you don't like it, you need to run for school board and you need to fix it. Well, let me tell you this. I don't think there's anybody that's out there that's surprised about what we're talking about and what we're saying and knowing that it's a fact, okay? So my thing is, you wanted to be elected. You know this is an issue. You need to fix it. I don't want to run for public office.
And the job of the ones that run and are elected are to listen
to the people
and try to understand what the people are saying. Now, whether you agree or disagree, I mean, when I was on council at Maiden, I met with several people. Mm-hmm. And I thanked them for coming in, and I told them, you know, either, hey, that's a great idea, I haven't thought about that, or I said, you know what, thank you very much. I 100% disagree with everything that you said, but I sincerely appreciate you coming by. I mean, just
it's okay to agree to disagree.
Even though it's very direct, it was very sincere and very honest, and that way they understood that, yes, I listened as somebody that's elected public official, that I listened, but I still did not agree. and that's okay.
Let me,
and if they brought a good point, I can, Danny, he can tell you, he's the same way when he served. He listened to what everyone. We've got some pretty good people on council that do that.
Let me give you. Let's talk a little baseball.
Yeah,
just a little.
Glad to.
How about the Tampa Bay Rays at 24-6?
Yeah, they've already got them in the playoffs.
Well, it's easy in baseball because, you pretty well know after the first, 15, 20 games.
Yankees and Red Sox are going to go on a run prior and after the All-Star break. You're going to see that tighten up.
Here is probably the biggest surprise. Mm-hmm. Baltimore Orioles 20-9.
Yeah, it is.
Years since they've been relevant in Major League Baseball.
And it's exciting because it's a storied franchise, in a smaller area, but still with a lot of relevance and a lot of great players. Mm-hmm. Of course, the Ripkins come to mind, Eddie Murray. I mean, just to name a couple. There's hundreds that we could go through. But it's good. It's good for the area. It's good for baseball. And you know what? Anytime your baseball or professional team is doing well and the ownership or people in charge seem to be fully invested into it, a lot more people come out. Therefore, more people have jobs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, good things going on.
Your Atlanta Braves are 20-10, but here's the surprising stat.
Yeah.
They're 500 at home.
Yeah.
7-7 at home, 13-3 away.
Yeah.
That is, I don't see anybody else that's even close in that type of record but the Braves.
Elder, the pitcher, the Elder, he is very, very good. I think he's in like the top 4, 5, 6 in Major League Baseball now in earned run average. The kid is a serious player. He knows, he's in control. That, these guys tend to throw on the road some, and they're hard to beat. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more devastating to an opponent when you beat them at their place.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's a reason that certain pitchers are pitched.
Makes you built better for playoffs.
It does, Lanny, and they're on rotations. Excuse me. They're on rotations, and like every 5. I'm just giving an example. Like every 5 days, the starter will pitch, right? But sometimes there's things done specifically to send a message psychologically. I used to do that. In high school ball, I learned that years ago. But I did that with some of the arms we had. Like for example, there were certain teams that expected Aaron to be pitching. He threw the ball really hard. He was in total control on the mound. His mound presence and dominance was. Like Henry Jones said, you can't beat him. Coach at Cherville a long time, he told the coach at Bladenburg, they said you can't beat him. But the point is I may throw my 2, 3, 4, 5 pitcher that each had their own attributes on purpose, and when that team showed up, it psyched them out that he wasn't pitching. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they did this. Well, I'd bring him in the second or third inning. It was you have to do that to gain an advantage, not just in winning the game, but in winning the psychological aspect of what you're doing.
But it's the other side of it is Aaron was a kid that could do that.
Correct.
That could come in. A lot of pitchers that are starters can't come in.
No, that's right. But again, exactly.
Psychologically,
so your kids.
Yeah.
And you communicate with your players, from an understanding of what you want. I had a 2-quarterback system years ago that I used up in the mountains, and one was drastically better athletically than the other. But the other was more steady, a little bit better distributor. And so, depending on who we were playing, depending on kind of the game plan of how we would try to construct things, maybe in the first quarter, second quarter, and then do something dynamically different at halftime to try to gain an advantage.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to outsmart anyone. My point is you try to utilize the tools and talents you have to gain an advantage in the way that you feel you can with your players against your opponent. It's not that you're trying to be the smartest guy in the room. That's not what I mean.
Ricardo, good morning. Glad to have you with us.
Pero.
I don't know why in the world you're up this early, unless you wet the bed or something.
He probably did, but you know what he's doing? He's probably fishing. Because he doesn't
He
work
may
at
not even
Hermanos.
be around here.
No, he's in Mexico.
He could be in Mexico.
He's in Mexico.
Milton said the Las Vegas Athletics will start next year.
There it is, baby.
Wow.
Milton's right.
Now, let me give you this one, too. There are a couple other teams that you don't associate with being at the top of the standings. And here's one. How about the Pittsburgh Pirates at 20-10?
It's great.
It's been a long time since they've been relevant.
Too long. A lot of great memories there. I'll tell you who I like in that division and I can't see the board, but I like in that division. I really like two teams. I really like the Brewers.
18 and 11.
They are
second.
okay, and I like the Cubs. What are the Cubs?
15 and 14.
Yeah,
They're
I like
third.
those two. So I feel like there's going to be a really, it's going to be really interesting. And I don't be surprised if the Cardinals, in the last, 2 weeks to All-Star game, start gaining some ground.
They're at 10 and 20.
Are the Reds the fourth or fifth?
Fourth.
Okay,
13,
Cardinals are
17.
fifth. Yeah, right. So I really think that that's going to be it's going to be like the Yankees division. It's going to be a really interesting race as we get to and through the All-Star break.
Right now, your Yankees are dead last at 16 and 15. David Keever's Boston Red Sox are 17 and 14.
I'm about to get up here
Blue Jays at 18 and 12. Orioles 20 and 9, and the Rays at 24.
But they're all above
and
500.
6.
If you see that division,
that whole division,
right? So there's some things that'll be happening there.
Mm-hmm. And that is, let me make sure. Yep, that's the only division where everybody's above 500.
How are the let's see, in the National League, I think it's the Western Division. How are the Giants? Where are they right
12
now?
and 17. And did I not see that they released the Mad Bum? Wasn't he playing for the Giants? Or had he already moved on?
I think he'd already moved on to like Arizona or something.
He's been released. So whoever it was waived him.
Yeah.
He was having some arm issues.
Yeah. Well, and he's been doing it a long time and had a storied career. He's done a lot of extracurricular activities on the side. He's enjoyed his time as a professional. Probably the greatest story was one of the guys up in Caldwell was telling me, said that, and I think this is pretty much like knowledge all over the place because they talked about it on, Sports Center, where they said that they were on the way to the World Series and they were all on the team bus, and the bus broke down and the guy couldn't get it started, couldn't do anything. Said I'm not sure if it's that, but just follow me here. Said Madison got up, took his shirt off, went outside, jumped in the hood, worked around some stuff, turned around, stuck his head and said, all right, try it now. They cranked up, they went on to the gate.
Country boy right there. That's a country boy right there.
Oh, gosh. And so,
I've never met him. I've talked to his dad a couple times.
Just
just regular old guys.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Just regular old guys. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's nice, obviously, to have someone as close to the area that has had such a major impact, but yet has, he's always been just that guy. And he's just one of the guys. And in today's world, I mean, he's sitting there. He came in and won the World Series after pitching day before. He came in and closed, the next day or whatever, the next day or two, whatever it was, next game. And, he'd already thrown like 8 or 9 innings the game before. All right, he comes in and pitches again, and they're interviewing him. Place is going crazy. They just won the World Series, whatever, MVP, whatever. And he looks around when they're interviewing him and says, all these people are cheering. He says, wow, this is pretty cool. I mean, most people would be like, get it out, let's go. Going crazy, run around. He's like, wow, that's pretty cool. That was all right.
Let's see. They were talking about some quarterback winners and losers in the NFL as we wind up. Of course, one of the big winners, Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Loser, Aaron Rodgers with the Jets.
Why are they saying that?
Well, I think the Jets are kind of built to win. It's going to depend on what Aaron Rodgers' commitment is.
I think his commitment's always been there.
Not off season. Not that he needed to work, but the people around him needed to work with him.
But okay, so it's kind of a two-way street. I'm going to throw the other angle at it.
Okay. Was
the commitment from the others in place for him to be committed to them? As much as Brady was committed, when you saw, the documentaries, videos, whatever, the people that knew him best and followed him, the people that were around him were always committed to him as well.
That's
I
correct.
mean, commitment's a two-way street.
Yeah,
you can be as committed in a relationship, but if the other party ignores you,
and we'll find out,
doesn't ever talk to you or doesn't care about, then things are not good.
Geno Smith, the winner for the Seahawks. Ryan Tannehill for the Titans because they took Will Levis. He'll play before the year's over.
And that's fine, but Tannehill is a guy that was a wide receiver in college at A&M. They moved him to quarterback. All they talked about is how, these great gurus and pundits, he can't do this, he's not this, but yet here he is a decade later, All right, and Tennessee is the type of team with type of coach that has potential to win a Super Bowl at some point, or at least get there. And Levis is going to do fine.
Yep,
he's battle tested, but here's
another guy that you like. They considered a winner for the Raiders is Jimmy G.
Yeah, 100%.
And loser on that side, Kirk Cousins, a winner.
100%.
Yeah. Loser, running back Dave Montgomery with the Lions. And some of these other ones, I'm not. Najee Harris, winner with the Steelers.
Big time.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. Tony Pollard, running back with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
He is the running back for the Cowboys. It wasn't Zeke. After Zeke got the money, there was nothing there. It was Jerry kept making them feed the ball to Zeke because he wanted to justify what he paid him. I'm completely convinced that. I said it. You heard it right here, just in case you're wondering. Let's see if there's any other names that loser, Jerry Jeudy, they opted not to re-sign him, if I'm not mistaken.
Sometimes there's more than just the play on the field that determines that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, Laney, like, and you may, and people listening may or may not have experiences as a player in the past, but there were just some coaches that I just didn't click with.
Yep.
Now, most of them I did, but I felt like the ones that were not fully invested, that were just BSers basically, just good old boy out there. I didn't do real well with that. I wanted the guy that was chewing my rear end, okay, that was staying in my grill, but also I knew had a hand in my back pushing me forward. You're better than you can do this.
There's a difference.
I expect more. You need to do.
There's a difference in your grill when it's derogatory and not pushing you.
Yeah.
I've told you I've pulled kids out before and crawled in the helmet with them.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes later, we're all good. My kids are like that. They'll tell you,
right,
Daddy will ream my rear.
Right.
But then 5 minutes later, it's okay because he did it, explained it. We had a situation we had to deal with, and now it's time to move on.
Well, I think when you have a relationship with kids, with young people,
yep,
that they understand you have their best interest at heart, and
that's
you want
correct.
them performing and focusing at an optimal level, not all the time, but in the time that they are performing what they're supposed to do, whether it be watching film, working out, or on the field preparation during practice, like practice prep, or game prep, right? And then playing in the game. Specific focus times. When they're not doing that, they're being selfish. There may be things going on. That doesn't mean that being selfish is the wrong thing to do at that time, because there may be something going on we don't know about. You get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
You get to know how they act, how they are, what their motivations are. But then, it was like, in a playoff game, you were there. I had a certain defensive call that on a down and distance, I knew they were going to run the tight end out.
Mm-hmm.
I called the call where we locked the tight end down. We didn't do it. They end up throwing a touchdown pass.
Mm-hmm.
I had nobody covering. Okay, that's the reason I wanted to lock him down. Well, the kid who is one of my favorite people, absolutely, I crawled him not only on Friday night, but on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to make sure that what I'm calling is not a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is calculated. Okay? The point is that kid never put his head down. He sit there and took it every day. That Friday night, he took it really well because I did. And if you remember, I didn't let up. That was in the first half.
Yep.
We were up by 40 points in the second half, and he was on the sideline. I was still on him because I expected him, as the player he was, to perform at an optimal level.
Correct.
And not give him a pass because he didn't listen, because he's a good player. I don't care about – I want him to be the best he can be, and he knows that. And he sends me a message this weekend. We're talking about graduation, everything. He's excited where he's going, and that, hey, let's grab lunch after you graduate so we can talk a little bit before you go to school and catch back up.
That's
important.
If you have somebody that's not reaching their potential, they've got to have some outside motivation sometimes to do it.
And they're
it's
young,
completely okay to do that.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
They're young. They're going to make mistakes just like you and I still do.
Yeah.
But what I enjoyed most, and looking back on my relationships with the coaches, are the ones that I knew cared about me the most and pushed me the hardest.
Yes.
Because it became about my development, my growth, and the benefit of the teammates and their growth and development in our team and what we were trying to do, instead of just that person out winning a game.
Yep.
I do not do well with people that just want to win. Okay,
it's about development.
You win
to me.
before art of war, right? You win before you go into battle.
And the other side of that is
don't do well with people like that.
To close out, if you put the development in, the wins will come. It's when you reverse it that it's wrong.
Right.
You got to put the development in.
And you know, again, I'm not. A lot of times I know I get on here and do these rants. What I'm saying is I'm just trying to bring a different perspective and viewpoint in maybe reverse proportion of all the stuff that we hear today. And I'm not saying the things that we hear today are wrong, but I think today we're too involved in how a message is delivered instead of the content of the message.
That's correct.
You know, it's like when I had a discussion with the umpire the other night. He's like, well, you came out here. I said, wait a minute. Are you listening to understand what I'm saying, or are you listening to react? Because if you're listening to react, this is not going to work at all. And that's not your purpose or mine out here.
Mm-hmm.
So what's it going to be?
We just got to get on the same page.
Have no problem if I may be wrong in what I was saying. I wasn't in this case because it was obvious, and that's okay. That happens. I've been obviously wrong before, you know, like that. The point is, you know, I really think, you know, a lot of the things that we hear about umpires, or officials, they won't do this. They want to do their job for the most part. And I do think we need to increase pay. But also in doing so, I think we need
more
the quality.
Expectations.
Right, the quality will increase. There's more accountability.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Are we here tomorrow?
Let's see.
Thursday?
Yes, I'm good. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.